After a month of waiting for news on immigration provisions in the budget reconciliation bill, the Congressional Budget Office is now reviewing Plan C, also called the Parole in Place Plan, in order to estimate its cost. After that, the next step is to submit it to the Senate parliamentarian, Elizabeth MacDonough, who has rejected the previous two immigration plans proposed by Senate Democrats. Stay tuned because we are going to cover all of this news and the likelihood of this option passing and when we can expect Democrats to submit this plan to MacDonough. By the way, I was unable to post a video last week, but we are back now. If you have been waiting for an update, then please like this video so that other people can get a chance to see it. As we discussed in a recent video, granting certain undocumented individuals parole status was the backup option for Senate Democrats if the parliamentarian rejected their original Pathway to Citizenship. Granting parole to millions of essential workers, dreamers, TPS holders, and farm workers would allow them to apply for 5-year work permits and subsequent renewals and would also shield them from being deported. It would also give them a durable, long-term protection that would be a relief for those with DACA or TPS who have had to live their lives 2 years at a time. Note that it does not include a pathway to legalization, but would reportedly allow those with U.S. citizen relatives to apply for a green card. According to initial estimates, approximately 7.1 million people would qualify for parole status. There won't be much information available about who qualifies and what they will receive until the proposal is released from the Congressional Budget Office. But I will do another video to explain it in more detail once more information is available. So be sure to subscribe if you haven't done so yet. So what is the likelihood of parole passing the parliamentarian? This depends on whether or not granting parole to undocumented non-citizens passes the Byrd Rule, a rule named after the late Senator Robert Byrd, which determines whether or not a measure can be included in budget reconciliation. The first part of the Byrd Rule is that the policy must impact the federal budget. Both of the previous Pathways to Citizenship proposals met this requirement. The second and more difficult part of the Byrd Rule is that the budget impact outweighs the policy impact, a rule known as the merely incidental test. This is the hurdle that both of the previous proposals from Senate Democrats failed to pass. The merely incidental test is subject to the parliamentarian's interpretation, and Elizabeth MacDonough raised three main concerns when she rejected Plan A and Plan B for the Pathway to Citizenship. 1, that it would create a new pathway to status. 2, that a pathway to citizenship contains life-changing benefits. And 3, that a future Congress could revoke the protections through conciliation. Fortunately, Parole addresses each of these concerns. First, it does not create a pathway to permanent status. It has been a part of immigration law since 1952, so it is not a new process. Second, it comes with limitations that distinguish it from green cards, such as the fact that parole recipients must still apply for work permits on a case-by-case basis, they must request permissions to travel, and they cannot sponsor family members or others for permanent residence. And finally, parole is a temporary status that Congress could revoke anyway, so it avoids setting a dangerous precedent in the same way a pathway to citizenship might. This means that parole addresses all of the objections that the parliamentarian had to the previous two proposals, giving it a better chance of being approved. But what about the pathway to citizenship? Could it still be included if Senate parliamentarian is overruled? This is probably the last major chance at immigration reform for years to come. So dozens of progressive House Democrats are calling on Senate leaders to disregard the parliamentarian's decision and include a pathway to citizenship in the reconciliation package anyway. Last week, 39 House members wrote a letter to Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer, arguing that the Senate's presiding officer had the authority to issue a binding decision on the parliamentarian's opinion, which could then be overruled by a supermajority. In this case, the presiding officer could be Vice President Kamala Harris, Senator Patrick Leahy, or someone designated by Senator Leahy. One of the letter's signatories, Illinois Representative Jesus Garcia, is quoted as saying, "This should be a wake-up call for Democrats in the Senate that the parliamentarian is simply an advisor and do as Republicans have done in the past. Either put aside that ruling or fire the parliamentarian. That can get us immigration reform." Will Senate Democrats vote to overrule the parliamentarian? If not, do you think she will approve parole when it is proposed to her this week or not? Leave me a comment and let me know. Assistance for undocumented immigrants is not the only immigration reform Senate Democrats are trying to include in this budget reconciliation bill. They are also proposing Congress to recapture 200,000 employment and family-based sponsored visas, and to remove the country cap exemptions for legal immigrants. If you have not seen my previous video on the subject, then I will post it right here. I will also continue releasing new videos as more information becomes available, so make sure to subscribe and like this video to keep following me for updates. Check this video out, and I'll see you there.